Dear children, today our lesson is The Brave Potter. This is the C reading from the Unit 2 under the theme Wit and Humor. And the author is Margaret Seek. Margaret Seek is a storyteller who has traveled many countries in the world and collected many stories from different languages, and he had translated them into English. And today I am not going to focus on the summary or the story because this is a very simple story. If you go through the story, you can easily understand. And this particular lesson falls under the category of story, or we can call it folk tale. Now, today I am going to focus mostly on the grammar part because this lesson is very important for you in the passage editing as well as do as directed. That's why I'll go through each and every line, and wherever I underlined a particular word, you also take a pencil and underline and write the meaning above that one. Apart from the meanings, today we are focusing on opposites, noun forms and prefixes as well as suffixes if they are required. So let me go through the lesson. Margaret Seek has chosen a very well-known Indian folk tale. Now underline the word folk tale. Let me explain you. Folk means people, tale means a story. Now what is a folk tale? Folk tale is a story or a tale circulated by word of mouth among the common folk. Folk means people. For retelling in English. Children and adults alike are fond of folk tales, which are often amusing. Underline the word amusing and write the meaning as entertaining and sometimes instructive. These stories not only provide us with entertainment but also gives us some kind of warning. It was dark. Thick black clouds covered the evening sky. The thunder roared and the strong wind shook the branches and leaves of the trees in the forest. Underline this particular sentence. The thunder roared and the strong wind shook the branches and leaves of the trees in the forest. I call this as personification. Why do we call it personification? Because roared is a verb and this particular action is a human attribute given to a non-human thing, that is the thunder. In the same way, shook is a human attribute given to strong wind. So this particular figure of speech is called personification, because if non-human things are given human attributes, such kind of sentence is said to be in personification. Now once again, pit, pat, pit. This is referring to sounds. Once again, there is another figure of speech here. This is called onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia refers to the sounds present in the nature. Drops of rain fall. Then drops of rain fell. Then the lightning flashed and split the black sky with its blinding light. What do you mean by blinding light here? Blinding means very bright light. Soon it was raining heavily. An old tiger ran through the rain looking for shelter. He was wet and cold and his cave was far away. While hurrying to his shelter, he saw an old hut with a sigh of relief. What do you mean by relief here? Relief means comfort. The tiger crawled under the thatched roof. Underline the word thatched and write dry grass or straw roof and lay down by the door. Except for the sound of the rain, all was quiet. This is quiet. Quiet is calm. Sometimes you will be given the word as Q-U-I-T-E. There is a huge difference between Q-U-I-T-E, that is quiet, and this is quiet. Quiet is calm. Before he could nod off. Underline the word nod off and write fall asleep. However, he heard something heavy being dragged inside the hut. This was followed by the voice of a woman. "Oh, how terrible this leak is," she complained. "How terrible. I would rather meet tiger in the forest than have this leak in my house." A leak? The tiger thought. What is a leak? It must be very dangerous and strong. Or the woman would not be more frightened of the leak than of me. Am I not rightly called the king of the forest? Aren't they all afraid of me? I wonder what a leak looks like. Soon afterwards, the tired tiger fell asleep. He was suddenly awakened by an angry voice shouting in his ear. He felt very heavy blows fall upon his head and shoulders. "You horrible beast!" a voice screamed angrily. "How dare you run away? How dare you make me walk about in the middle of the night trying to find you? Be careful. One of these days I'll kill you. Now go home." The old tiger shivered. Underline the word shivered. Shivered means trembled. This must be the leak who has come out of the hut. "I would better do as he says or he will kill me." So the tiger allowed himself to be bound. Underline the word bound and write tied with. Around the neck with a thick rope. This mysterious creature then climbed onto the tiger's back and pulled at the rope. Till now, these are the words we have come across for the meanings and the synonyms. Now once again, let us come from the beginning. If there is any other opposite or the noun form, we will write that one. Now here, underline the word chosen. Chosen, the noun form of chosen is choice. Well known. What could be the opposite of well known? Right? Unknown. Retelling in English. So again, we have dark, noun form could be darkness. Thick, opposite is thin. And next comes, I forgot to tell you, ran through. This is a phrasal verb. Looking for means searching for. Quiet, noun form would be quietness. And next comes followed. Opposite will be led, L-E-D, led. Complained. Noun form will be complaint. Complain, that is C-O-M-P-L-A-I-N-T, complaint. Dangerous, opposite is safe. Strong, what could be the noun form of strong? It is strength. Suddenly, what could be the opposite? Gradually. Shouting, opposite is whispering. Suppose if ing form is given, you need to write only the ing form in the opposite. Careful, careless. Suppose if you are asked to write the noun form, you write carefulness. Or if you are asked to write the add a suitable suffix to this one, you write carefully. So allowed, opposite will be prevented. Now this is in past form, you are supposed to write in past form only. Mysterious, opposite will be open or straightforward. "Come on, head for home," shouted the voice. You just see the difference here. Shouted, opposite will be whispered. But here, shouting is there. I told you people to write the ing form of the opposite even. Shouting, whispering. Here, shouted, whispered. The tiger felt a sharp kick. What could be the opposite of sharp here? Sharp is blunt. On his side, the tiger was terrified. Meaning of terrified is frightened. And he ran through the dark forest. The creature pulled hard on the rope to tell him which way to go. At the same time, it scolded, cursed, opposite of cursed. Cursed is blessed, and kicked the poor tiger. Soon they stopped in front of a small hut on the edge of the thick forest. The creature climbed down from the tiger's back and bound him. Once again, we have come across the same word. Here bound, I gave you the meaning as tied with. Here also the same. Bound him with an iron chain to a nearby tree. Then he went inside the hut. The tiger could not free himself from the chains. Now what could be the opposite of free here? Bound, if it is freed, because bind is the past form of bound. So the opposite could be freed. Now free opposite will be bind. Remember that. Himself from the chain. So he had to spend a miserable. What do you mean by miserable? Miserable means uncomfortable. Suppose if you are asked to write the opposite of miserable, you are supposed to write pleasant night under the tree. Who was this creature who was able to capture such a large and dangerous tiger? Let's find out. On the afternoon of that day, a potter had arrived. Opposite of arrived is departed home after a hard day's work. Now, if you are asked to write the part of speech of hard days, it becomes an adjective because it is describing the noun work here. He was tired and thirsty. Tired. What could be the noun form of tired? It is tiresomeness. And thirsty. Noun form of thirsty is thirst. He had asked his wife for some palm wine. What do you mean by palm wine? Palm wine is toddy. Toddy is nothing but the fermented palm juice. The more he drank, the better he felt. And this is one of the grammar topics in which we need to throw some light. So your teachers might have explained you like, see, this is a comparative form of the adjective. Before the comparative form, we never keep article the. But here we have already placed article the. So what is the rule behind this one? See, after this comparative degree, we have one clause, that is he drank. Even after this comparative form of the adjective better, we have one more clause, he felt. So here the is not an adjective here, it is acting as a demonstrative pronoun. So here is a rule that after the comparative form of any adjective, if we have a clause, it becomes a demonstrative pronoun. So the meaning of the is nothing but by that much. By that much he drank, the better he felt. When he had drunk all the wine, he no longer felt tired. Already we have discussed tired. What is the noun form? Tiresomeness. When the storm began, the potter suddenly remembered. What could be the opposite of remembered? It is forgot that he had left his donkey tied under a tree. He rushed out of his hut to take the animal into the stable. What do you mean by stable? Stable is a place where the horses are being placed. But here this is not a horse, this is the donkey. You can imagine. What could be the noun form of imagine? It is imagination. Anger. What could be the adjective form of anger? It is angry. When he discovered, opposite of discovered, noun form of discovered is discovery. And that the donkey was not there anymore. The only thing left was its chain. My stupid donkey must have run off. Run off is escaped or ran away into the forest. He grumbled. When I catch him, I will give him a good beating. So remember one thing, the whole story is running in past tense. Wherever there is a dialogue spoken by a person, it is only being given in present tense. Rest of all the places, see here, this is the dialogue, it's given in present tense. And rest of all the story is running in past tense. Here comes a dialogue, a leak. What is the leak? This is in past tense. The only thing you need to remember is wherever there is a dialogue, here he has given in present tense. Rest of all the story is running in past tense. Let us see the next page too. The potter walked through the wet forest. When it became dark, he often stumbled. Dark opposite is bright. He often stumbled. The meaning of stumbled is tripped over. If it is stumble, you will be writing trip over. As it is in past tense, you are supposed to write tripped over. Roots and fallen branches. What is the part of speech of fallen here? It is adjective because it is describing the type of branches. What kind of branches are these? These are fallen branches. With each step, the potter felt angrier and angrier with his donkey. When I catch him, I will tie him up under the tree all night, he muttered to himself. What do you mean by muttered? Muttered means spoke something unclearly in a low voice. Spoke something unclearly in a low voice to himself. Hours later, the potter reached the old woman's hut. There he saw an animal sleeping in front of the door. There he is, he shouted. Already we have mentioned the opposite of shouted. What is the opposite of shouted here? It is whispered. There he is, the stupid animal. What do you mean by stupid? Stupid means idiotic or an idiot. What could be the opposite of stupid? clever, smart. The drunken potter did not notice the difference. Difference, opposite of difference is similarity. Now I'll tell you the small difference between similarity and similar. Suppose if the word is different, your opposite would be similar. As this is in the noun form, your opposite also should be in noun form, that is similarity. Between the donkey and a tiger. Why did the author use between here? Because he has taken two animals here, the donkey and the tiger. That's why he used the word between. Okay, suppose if there are many in number, you will be using among. Now, when you use between, obviously you are supposed to use the conjunction and. He kicked and beat the sleeping tiger. He then jumped onto the frightened animal's back, rode it home. What is the present form of rode? It is ride. And then tied it up with the iron chain. Next morning, the villagers who passed the potter's house looked in amazement. Amazement, meaning of amazement is wonder, surprise. At the tiger tied to the tree. Soon the news spread throughout the village that the potter had caught a tiger and tied it to a tree in his yard. Yard is the open place in front of a house. All the villagers praised his courage. Meaning of praised is appreciated. What could be the opposite of praised? Opposite of praised is criticized. His courage. In our earlier lessons, we have come across this word courage. What is the opposite of courage here? It is cowardice. Courageous, opposite will be coward. As this is in noun form, your opposite also should be in the noun form, that is cowardice. They also thanked him because the tiger had eaten many of their goats and buffaloes. Thanked. Now add a suitable suffix for this one. Thankful. And what could be the noun form for this? Thankfulness. They had tried to catch him for many years but had failed. Of course, the potter said that he had done nothing. What is the opposite of nothing? Nothing is everything of the sort. He said that he had only brought his donkey home. He didn't understand how a donkey could change into a tiger. When he saw the tiger, he fainted. What do you mean by fainted? Lost consciousness. Nobody, however, believed. Now I want the noun form of believed. What could be the noun form? Belief. The potter's story. The villagers even praised him. Already we have got the opposite of praised. What is opposite of praised? Here we have got. So that is criticized him for being modest. What is modest? It is simple. Now tell me the noun form of modest. It is modesty. Opposite of modesty is pride. Modest. If the word is modesty, your answer will be pride. As this is an adjective form, your answer also should be an adjective one. That is proud. Soon the potter became famous. Noun form of famous is fame. Everybody who met him called him the brave potter. Brave. Noun form is bravery. Now what could be the opposite of brave here? It is timid. Here we have got courage. Courage is cowardice. Brave is timid. Suppose if bravery is given, your answer should be timidity. The simple potter. Simple part of speech is adjective and simple. The noun form of simple is simplicity. And what could be the opposite of simple? It is complex or complicated. Himself never understood why. So, have you children understood the whole concept now? We haven't focused anything on the lesson. I mean the summary of the lesson, as this is very important for your passage editing and do as directed. So, we have focused only on the grammar part. For your better understanding, I am placing this paper in front of the camera. Just see this, and if you have missed writing any of the word, you just copy the answer from the given paper. So these are the meanings or the synonyms, and here comes the opposites. So copy this. Okay, in the same way, here are the noun forms. So that's all for today. Meet you in the next class. Thank you.